I couldn't do this without it. So I came into this with a lot of humility. It's not normal for me. I came to this with a lot of humility, and the welcome and the encouragement and the enthusiasm I have received from Turkish scholars who, before I even ask my question, are answering it, giving the resources, and the first thing out of their mouth is, "Oh, let me connect you to this person." It's been it's been the way that this could happen, and I really hope that the research that comes of this speaks to their generosity. Yeah, for sure. Right now at the Moda Sanese, right across from where I live, there's 3 Shakespeare productions happening. They're doing Macbeth, Othello, and The Taming of the Shrew, each of which has tradition. And the one that really surprised me was Othello. They just cut Act 1. They just cut it. And there's a respect for the craft, and there's a deference, but it doesn't go all the way to the sort of sacrilege sense of it that you would get from an American or a British company if they did the same thing, where that would be heresy. In Türkiye, it's to tell the story. Certain actors, I think, were on par with anything you would see in Britain or America, but the way that the text is treated and approached is much more flexible and much more interested in the audience experience, which I like. I first was looking for a way to turn my interest in Turkish into an interest in Turkish culture. And what I found was this fascinating moment where André Antoine in the Ottoman Empire, the Darülbedai, and I actually have a bit of familiarity with him in France, and he never struck me as an institutionalist. So I was very curious, what happened with this? Why André Antoine? How did he start this institution? What was he thinking? It really felt odd. He was sort of an independent theater maker in France, and to see him do something like this, I needed to connect the dots for myself. Well, I mean, it's fascinating. So before looking at this moment, I was actually going to do the French Revolution. And what they have in common is that they're historical leaps of faith. And at the same time, there's this inherent contradiction where, Ataturk kicks out the colonist empires, he kicks out the Brits, he kicks out the French, but then you have these sort of European structures that he incorporates within the nation. And I find that contradiction so fascinating. And I wanted to get down to, why did this happen? What was the public response to this? How did you create a Turkish public in the ashes of an Ottoman Empire? Very interesting. It's really interesting. So I know you keep saying that, but it is. So you have, at its core, the theater is alla franca. Going to the theater, an institutionalized theater, the idea that there's a dramatic literature that everyone's reading, that is alla franca. What you start to see, particularly in the mid-20th century, is this attempt to incorporate more Turkish traditional aesthetics within the theater modality. So you're able to institutionalize Turkish traditions. So it's not just Greek theater or Schiller or Shakespeare, Molière, but you're starting to see more and more internalized respect of the Turkish traditions going back centuries. Karagöz Hacivat, Orta Meda, they come up more and more, even when you're doing things like Shakespeare. Well, it's a tall order. The best I am doing right now is my research. I am writing reviews for all the plays I see, hoping for people to grasp onto some of them. My colleague that I'm living with right now, we're discussing working on a project together, translating a new American play that I really enjoyed. I think this part of it is going to be a marathon. And what I'm doing right now is sort of sowing the seeds that hopefully over the course of whatever my career might look like, will turn to something native. I can really speak for New York and Istanbul. I can't speak for Ankara, Izmir, and the national theater scene, but it's quite similar. There's no Broadway, there might be a public theater. That might be the Taksim Theater. So there's that, but the off Broadway scene, that independent theater scene, I'm not sure if I would call Turks a theater-going public the way I would the Germans or the French, but the theater-going public that is here is deeply committed, deeply engaged, and you can really feel it whenever you're in a theater. They're there for the play. They're there to support the artists. There's a lot of encouragement for the art that's happening. Outside of the cats, it's a good question. The most rewarding, it's been talking to the artists. I have such a sense of integrity for what kind of art they want to make. And it is, initially I was going to end my dissertation sometime in the mid-20th century. And then the more artists I met, it became clear that I had to bring it to the present day. I had to show what current artists, especially with the independent scene, what frameworks are they working in, and how they are trying to manage working within both the theater tradition and expanding their sense of themselves as Turkish artists. Who would I want to get on the record? Muhsin Ertuğrul. I want to have an interview with him. I need his thoughts. Thankfully, one of my friends gave me a contact of somebody who worked with him, which is sort of the next best thing. But otherwise, the classics are Muhsin Ertuğrul, Metin Ans, Haldun Taner. Those are the ones you really want to get on the record if you're writing something like this. Thankfully, they wrote enough on their own that I'll have plenty to work with.